Being a new dad means you get a lot less time to game. I walked into the Xbox Bethesda conference with relatively high expectations. I really wanted them to bring it this year. In between the trailers and my daughter feeling like she needed just a few more tummy time reps, I ended up missing a few things, so I needed to go back and watch it a second time and really let things marinate. Was the conference enough to really alleviate those issues that Xbox has had in the past with exclusive games? Let's find out. Hey, I'm Sam with Busy Dad Gaming. I believe that gaming is about relaxing and recharging so we can come back to our families with our best. I do that by helping busy dads figure out what games to play and how they can relax and decompress from their day-to-day. The core argument around Xbox and the Xbox One generation has been their lack of exclusive games. Although I do agree with the sentiment, Game Pass really has picked up the slack here. Now, Xbox came up with over 30 games that are going to be coming to Game Pass over the next year or two, and this really comes down to your preference of what kind of games you enjoy playing. So, for example, they ended up announcing Yakuza Like a Dragon, Back 4 Blood, Starfield was a big one, Stalker 2, Halo Infinite, Hades, Psychonauts 2. I mean, there's really a lot of different games that are going to be coming over the next year or two. So whether it was a win or a loss for Xbox really comes down to what kind of games you enjoy playing. For me personally, I'm really excited for a lot of the games that are coming out, but here's just a few of the ones that I'm really looking forward to. Now, a few of the games that I'm really looking forward to, and I'll start off with the big one, is Starfield. Now, that's coming out November 11th of 2022, and all we got was a CGI trailer, so it wasn't anything earth-shattering. But the real thing that I'm looking forward to, and Bethesda ended up mentioning this in the after-show comment, was that it's kind of like Indiana Jones in space. So I'm kind of curious what that actually means. But again, it's one of those games that they announced day one Game Pass. It's exclusive to Xbox, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table. Now, the next one shouldn't come as a surprise. It's Halo Infinite, and that's going to be coming out holiday 2021. Now, Halo, I have been a big fan of it since the original Xbox. With Halo Infinite this time around, multiplayer is now free to play, which means you don't even need Xbox Live to play it, which is awesome. So if you're wanting to actually play the game itself, you end up paying for the campaign, but for everybody else, you can go ahead and just jump right into multiplayer. You don't even have to pay for Xbox Gold, and you can just run with it. So that'll be coming out here in the holiday season, and I'm super excited for that one. The next one I'm really excited for is Back 4 Blood, and that'll be coming out on October 12th of this year. Now, this being a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, it's one of those games where you can just 4-player co-op, jump in, and just start killing some zombies. Now, you can also play through it on your own if you really want to, but it's usually a lot funner with an actual group of friends. But that's definitely one that I'm looking forward to this year. The next game I'm really looking forward to is not part of Game Pass, but it may end up coming to EA Play depending on how things go, but Battlefield 2042. This is one game that I was excited for once they ended up having the CGI trailer reveal, and now that we got the multiplayer reveal, I'm even more excited about this game. With massive, huge battles, I'm curious to see how things end up playing out and how they end up structuring the progression. That's going to be a big piece of it, and then the price tag on it as well. I'm not too sure about the $70 price tag at this particular point, just not enough has been revealed for me personally, but it is something that I'm cautiously optimistic about and excited for. The next game I'm looking forward to actually wasn't part of the conference itself, but it was part of the Game Pass image that they ended up having there towards the end, and this is D&D Dark Alliance. That's coming out here in about a week or so here on the 22nd of June. It's a game that I've been looking forward to. It technically wasn't part of the conference, but because it was on that particular image that they had towards the end, I just wanted to bring it up. Game Pass day one. The next one I'm really looking forward to, and I think it's on PC, I'm not sure if it's on the Series X or not, but that is Age of Empires 4. That'll be coming out on October 28th of this year, and I've been an RTS fan clear back into the original Command & Conquer, StarCraft, Warcraft in those particular days. A lot of old school RTS games, I really enjoyed them, and this kind of fits within that same vein, so I'm really looking forward to this game and seeing what kind of advances they push forward in this particular latest iteration. And that brings me to one huge surprise for this particular conference, and that was Forza Horizon 5. I was kind of expecting a motorsports version here, but that's going to be fully next gen. Forza Horizon 5 is going to be cross-gen, so you'll end up seeing it across both of them. This particular game looked stunning, and even though when you looked at the presentation it was done on a PC, the Series X will end up getting a lot of those same fidelity and the graphical, ray tracing and things of that nature. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that ends up looking like as the game actually comes out. We're looking at November 9th for that particular game. I ended up getting the last Forza Horizon 4. It was really entertaining. I ended up having a lot of fun with it. And with this particular game being a little more geared towards the Series X, and you can end up playing on the Series S, and you can even go back to the One X as an example. I'm really looking forward to that particular game and seeing the graphical horsepower that the Series X actually has. And last but not least, we had Stalker 2. That's not coming out until next year. You're looking at April 28th of 2022. But we did see gameplay and it looks like a lot of fun. Being able to have the first-person shooter aspect with some horror elements and just seeing how they interact with each other, I'm really looking forward to this game, but again, not until next year. Now, there are a few games that were not at the conference, and I kind of expected that, but you had things like Avowed, Bright Memory Infinite, Hellblade 2, and Forza Motorsports. Now, with these particular games, it was kind of a guess that they weren't going to be at this particular conference, but it also kind of infers that they're a little further out than 2022, so we may have a wait on our hands on those ones. So now that I've gone over some of the games that we can look forward to and the Game Pass as a whole, my impressions of the conference itself, upon first watch, was kind of meh. I was watching the various trailers, my daughter felt like she needed some tummy time reps in there, so it was kind of distracting me in certain areas, so I ended up having to watch it a second time. But my first knee-jerk reaction of watching it the first time was just meh. After a second watching, I would have to say that my impressions were much better. Although I do believe that the conference itself was just okay, I do believe that Xbox really drove it home of here is all the titles that you can look forward to over the next year to a year and a half, and here's some that are progressing a little further out there that is more aspirational. Microsoft really tackled that objective of no exclusive games being a primary issue with the Xbox platform and really drove a stake through that particular thing. You can see a lot of games coming over the next year to a year and a half, so much so that they've stated that over the next year and a half to 2 years, you can look at a Microsoft Studio first title party coming roughly every month and in some cases every quarter. I'm not sure how that'll end up playing out over the course of the next few years, but it is very exciting that we're going to be getting a lot of games from Microsoft, and it's really going to bolster the Xbox platform. Now, from a dad's perspective, there was a lot to like about this presentation. There's almost something for everyone as they were going through all the different games across all these different genres. With so much coming to Game Pass over the next few years, not to mention various games that they're going to be picking up along the way, the value proposition for Game Pass is very difficult to dispute. Of all the games they mentioned across this entire presentation, there was only a couple that were not coming to Game Pass day one, and one of them being Battlefield 2042. But that may end up coming to EA Play. I'm not exactly sure how that'll work at this point, but it is something that we can potentially look for. I'm really excited to see where Xbox takes things over the next couple of months and years. If you didn't catch their briefings last week, they're really starting to expand the overall ecosystem that they're trying to tackle. They want to move beyond the physical console and get more into streaming and being able to play the games that you want to play where you want to play them. And overall, it's really broadening that overall ecosystem. So I'm really curious to see how Sony and Nintendo ultimately end up responding. But from an Xbox perspective, I'm really excited where things are going, and I think the core proposition for this conference, they nailed it right on the head. Now I want to hear from you dads out there. What did you think about the presentation overall, and what games are you the most excited for? Make sure to put it in the comments below. I'm really excited to see where Xbox starts to take things over the next couple of years, and I'm very curious to see how Sony and Nintendo ultimately end up responding. I'll end up giving a breakdown more holistically of E3 later this week, so make sure to keep an eye out for that, and I'll see you in a coming video.